Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining for our Edcite Schools webinar all about Real-Time Connect. So let's dive right in. So many of you probably have heard about our new Real-Time Connect feature. So this idea that you can support and proctor assessments from a distance. And you've got the live video and audio options, including seeing all of my students to talk to the whole class or having one-on-one conversations. So just a brief overview of what this tool does. When I turn on Real-Time Connect, I can see all of my students as they are working on an assignment. I can send messages to the whole class, and I can see whether they are on the assignment tab or if they have navigated to a different tab. And we'll dive into more about where you can see different things as we go into it more. But at a high level, I can see everyone taking my assessment. Now, I like to compare this to when you're in the classroom and you are addressing the whole class. So I might be at the front of the room framing some independent practice that we're about to do. So I want everyone to hear me. But I don't necessarily want students to hear and interact with each other when we are doing independent practice. So with Real-Time Connect, the students don't see each other. The student will only see the teacher and whatever chats the teacher is sending at the top of their page. So all within one view for the student, they're going to see the questions that they're working on, and they're going to see their interactions and communication from the teacher. So in this screenshot, the teacher is over here, the student's over here, and the content that they're working on is down below. Now, we're going to dive into how you have direct conversations, but just to give a brief overview, if let's say I noticed that one of my students needed some additional support, I can at any point start a direct discussion with that student and provide that direct intervention. So if at first, I was comparing the tool to being in front of the class and addressing everyone, this option would be more like when I'm walking around the room, someone raises their hand, and I kneel down next to their desk to have a private conversation. So I don't want the rest of the class listening to my direct discussion with Rocky. So when I start a private discussion like this, it will automatically mute and pause me for my other students. So that's the high level overview. I see all of my kids see me, and it's all nested within the actual assignment. So everything is in one page for your kids. So let's dive into the logistics of how you actually do this. So the Real-Time Connect is going to be turned on in your assignment settings. So when you are in your assignment editor, you're going to go to that settings gear, so that little wheel or gear symbol in the top right. And when you click on that and you open all settings, you will notice enable Real-Time Connect at the bottom. So when I checkbox that, it's going to make Real-Time Connect an option on that assessment. So again, this is just going through an option. I've copied an assignment from the library. I'm making any changes, editing questions, deleting questions, whatever. When I'm done drafting, I make it active. I go to my settings gear. I click on that gear symbol. I open all settings, and then I enable Real-Time Connect. So we're gonna really hammer home this idea that you go to your assignment settings to turn this on. So this GIF is showing, an example from copying an assignment. But let's say that we want to look at an example from a collection or from the library. When I click on that green Assign button, you'll notice that that bypasses the assignment editor and allows me to just go straight to the Assign pop-up. In that case, I'm going to then click Manage Assignment after I press, which classes I'm assigning to, and that will give me the option to open up those assignment settings. And when I open up my assignment settings, I scroll down and I enable Real-Time Connect. So going through this again from the collections or the library, I click on that green Assign button. And this would be the same from your Common Assessments page too. If you had something shared with you, you click your green Assign button, you click your classes, your start times, your end times, you choose whether it's pushing to Google Classroom. And once you press that Assign button, you get the option to click Manage Assignment. And when you click Manage Assignment is when you can easily access those assignment settings. So we'll let this go through the loop one more time because I think this is a pretty common pathway. I find something I like, I send it to my students, I click Assign, and then I click Manage Assignment and Assignment Settings. Perfect. If, let's say, you have already assigned something, let's say you already sent something out for the first week of school and you want to go add the Real-Time Connect into that already assigned assessment. From your home page, you can either click Edit to get to your assignment editor, or you can click Manage to get to that assignment settings pop-up. But either way, you're going to go into the assignment settings and enable Real-Time Connect. So looking at the home page again, see now you can see Connect has been turned on. So we'll start it from the beginning. I go to my home page, I click the little dots. I can either click Manage or Edit. Both of those are going to get me to a pathway that works. I'm just going to click Edit here. And then I'm going to click View Assignment Settings. And from there, I open those settings and I enable Real-Time Connect. So I know we are really, we're going to make sure that if you leave this session with nothing else, it's going to be knowing that you turn on Real-Time Connect in the assignment settings. So the last pathway we'll talk about is if I'm giving a formative assessment and I'm building in the question bank. So I'm drilling down to specific standards. I'm selecting release state test items. I build that assignment. So it scoops the questions into my assignment editor. I make it active. I open my settings. I enable Real-Time Connect. Now, from that pathway, I would then assign it. And I'll notice that when I go to my home page, that formative assessment, you'll see the Connect button is turned on. So we'll let this final pathway run through one more time. It's also a good shout out to the question bank that I can drill down by standards, find questions specifically about that standard, build an assignment. I can name it. When I'm done with any edits, I make it active. I go into my settings. I enable Real-Time Connect. And then I assign it to my students. For those of you who are creating content or creating common formative assessments, you would go ahead and build your assessment, turn on that Real-Time Connect, and then share into that appropriate folder for your colleagues to give. So you can have something that is both marked as a common assessment in those assignment settings and has Real-Time Connect enabled. So that's, how you set it up. Let's talk about how you access Real-Time Connect. So on your home page, and you probably saw this on the last slides, on your home page where you see your class boxes and the recent assignments that have been pushed out to each of those classes, you're going to see a Connect icon. So I can click on that Connect button to pull up my real-time Connect view. You'll notice that there's only 3 assignments or assessments shown in each box. If, let's say, you set this up and you scheduled it a while ago, so it's not in your most recent 3 assessments, you will just click View More, and it will bring you to the full list of assignments for that class. And then I can find the assignment and click the Connect button. And when I click that Connect button, that is when it brings me into this whole class view where I can see all of my kids and I can communicate with them. And so by default, they're all going to hear me. And but you have controls up here if you want to turn off your camera, if you want to mute yourself. So those are always important to know. And if, let's say, you wanted to turn off a student's camera, you have the option to use the power off button to turn it off. You are not going to be able to turn on a kid's camera because I don't think we want anyone to be able to just turn on cameras. But students have to click, when they open their browser, it'll say, do you give permission? And you'll see this in the next slide. Do you give permission to use your microphone and video? They say, okay, and then their video can turn on. But it's nice to have the option to turn off video if you want to or need to. So that's how I, as the teacher, access it. So we've gone over how to set it up. We've gone over how I click on that Connect button. It brings me in to my whole class view. But let's talk about how students will access this. So let's play this quick video. So this is the allow. So student opens the assignment. They are going to see their questions, but at the top, they can click the connect to send questions to their teacher, see responses. They can flag the teacher. Teacher can start that direct discussion. So I'm chatting away with my teacher, then I'm going in, I'm implementing whatever great guidance she just gave me, finishing my assignment. She's adding some redirects to the whole class, it looks like up top. Oh, I'm the student, I'm a little confused. I'm going to go back up and ask a question again. And then my teacher can send back a response. Oh, gosh, I had such a great question. Okay, I keep going. And then I continue through that assessment. So just to show again what it looks like at the beginning, when students open it, we'll just pause it here. There's a little pop-up that says, I have parent permission to use this. So they click, I understand. And then after that, they'll get the allow edcite.com to use your camera and microphone, and they'll click allow. So those are the pop-ups that kids will get. But other than that, once they're in, it's then going to be turned on. So they're not going to automatically see, but they'll be able to hear the teacher. And then if they expand it, they'll see themselves, the teacher, and the chats. You'll notice that when the chats come in, they pop up in yellow. That's because in case the student is hiding the cameras and just looking at the work, any teacher message will get their attention. So it pops up no matter if I've scrolled down and I've closed out the window, or not the window, but the view, collapsed it down. You'll still get that message. So then they could scroll up, expand the chat, and respond. So that is, we'll just finish playing this out. So this is kind of the student interface. So you can see it's got the teacher, pops up bigger when we're having a private conversation, and then the student can go and implement that feedback. Great. So let's keep going. Now, we've talked about setting it up. We've talked about accessing it. Now let's talk about the tools that are available to you. So we saw in that student view that, a student can send a question to the teacher, and then the teacher can write back either sending it to all students or to specific students. You'll notice up here, right now the students are outlined in red. That means that the students are on a different tab or in a different application so that they aren't actively within Edcite. Now, sometimes that can give you a false, a false flag because they might be clicking into like a YouTube video you've linked to or a Google Doc that you've linked to in your Edcite assignment. But for the most part, if students are within the assignment just working on the Edcite materials, this is a good indicator of whether they are on task or if they've drifted off somewhere else. Another cool thing to point out is that Edcite schools teams are able to have co-teachers push into their real-time connect. So right now you'll notice I just have my one teacher down here, and I've got my options to do direct calls with different kids. I can also pull groups of students. And as soon as my co-teacher joins the room, you're going to see Ms. Anderson has entered. She's available. And at that point, I get another option with this little, it looks like a share icon, but it allows me to then send that student to go work with that co-teacher. So we'll dive into that a bit more, but this is really just to give you that overview that I can call my students directly. I can turn off their video. It looks like it's with the play button. And then I can mute or unmute specific students. Now, I don't like to unmute students if I'm with the whole group because then you could have too many voices being heard at once. I like to keep it for just those direct discussions, either with individual kids or with groups of students. On our next slide, this one, actually, we'll do this one second. So this is just going to show you that when I do click on that little share icon, and this is just with a different frame, this is doing it on an iPad. The last view was on the computer. I'm going to get a little pop-up that says, do you want to send Angelina to work with Ms. Anderson? And you're going to click yes. And so then at that point, Angelina will see Ms. Anderson at the top of her assignment instead of the primary teacher. So again, like what you do is you go over to that little share symbol, you click on that, you'll get a pop-up that says, do you want to send the student? I say yes, and then you'll notice it says with Ms. Anderson. So if you send a group, let's say I send 3 of them, I'll see with Ms. Anderson on 3 of them. Perfect. Okay, so the last thing I was going to show in here is that I would recommend using Real-Time Connect in conjunction with your live progress dashboard so I can actually see who is getting which questions correct. You are able to, within the platform or within the view of Real-Time Connect, pull the student's answer history. Right now, it's going to give you just a list of all of their questions, and you can click View Latest. So I find that sometimes that's good if I know where I'm looking, if I want to go to, if I say, oh, Carson got question 2 wrong, I might go to question 2 and click View Latest and then see what she's putting on that question. This is an area where the team is going to be adding new features during the fall. So we recognize that you don't want to have to do too many clicks and you don't want to have multiple tabs to get those great views into how students are doing. But the way that you will be able to pull up the student history is, one, I would recommend having the live progress open in another tab or even on your phone. And then 2, if you don't want to do that, you can just click, there's a little question number in the top right corner of all of the students' squares. So you can, this is kind of fuzzy, but Angelina's on question 1, Carson is on question 4. And so if I click on question 4, that's when I get this pop-up that shows me all of the questions Carson has answered, and I can click View Latest on any of these to view the most recent answer on that. And then maybe click out of here, do a direct call with Carson, and go over their work. So, just to wrap things up, the ways that you could use Real Time Connect, really, there's so many ways, but the main ways we're hearing from teams are using this for diagnostics and screeners. So if, let's say, you didn't want to have the whole class joining at once, but maybe you are scheduling time with small groups of students or even one at a time, then you can provide that direct one-on-one support. Or maybe I've got my co-teacher joining, and they're pulling one student at a time for reading diagnostic assessments where you have to have a live person in the actual assessment. So you'll notice on a lot of these, views, it says down here, students not in assignment. So not every student has to be active at the same time. So you could, use this in a way where I am just providing direct support with a smaller group at different times. Intervention groups, that's another really clear way of how you could use this. I could pull my students in a small group instead of one at a time. Formative assessments, it's going to be more of that responding to questions, doing some reteaching with kids. Your summative assessments, that might look more like proctoring it, having the video on there to make sure that students aren't getting help from older siblings or parents or their cell phone. So, there's ways that you can use the Real Time Connect to, most importantly, support our kids, and also just to make sure that your assessments are secure. So with that, I will just direct any questions as you guys are getting things set up, or if you need help getting co-teachers added to classes or setting up student groups for pulling during these real-time connections. Feel free to reach out to schools help at edcite.com, and our team can definitely give you a hand. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording. Thanks so much for joining.